wedding asking, would you please give me an interview? And you said, I'm sorry, it's not the right time. And finally, we get to sit down and have this conversation.
Well, I remember that conversation very well. I wasn't even allowed to have that conversation with you personally, right? There had to be people from the comments sitting there. Everything was...
There were other people in the room when I was having that conversation. You turned me down nicely and said, perhaps there will be another time when there's the right time. What is right about this time?
Well, so many things that we're on the other side of a lot of life experience that's happened, and also that we have the ability to make our own choices in a way that I couldn't have said yes to you then. That wasn't my choice to make. So as an adult who lived a really independent life, to then go into this construct that is different than I think what people imagine it to be, it's really liberating to be able to have the right and the privilege in some ways to be able to say yes, I'm ready to talk.
And to say it for yourself.
To say it for yourself.
And not to have to consult with anybody at this point.
Yeah, to be able to just make a choice on your own and just be able to speak for yourself. Across from him, descended on this small town, we're just giving him gifts. The whole thing brings us to where we are today.
Did it feel like betrayal when you found out your father was working with the tabloids?
I'm just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that. It was, if we're going to use the word betrayal, it's because when I asked him, when we were told by the comms team this is a story that was going to be coming out, which, by the way, the tabloids had apparently known for a month or so and decided to hold until the Sunday before our wedding because they wanted to create drama, which is also a really key point in all this. They don't report the news, they create the news. We called my dad and I asked him, and he said, no, absolutely not. And I said, you know, the institution has never intervened for anything for us, but they can try to go in and kill this story. But if they do this once, we're not going to be able to use that same leverage to protect our own kids one day. He
said, no, absolutely not. He hadn't been talking to them?
Yeah.
So he basically lied to you.
Well, and so when I said we won't be able to protect our own kids one day, and I said, so I just need you to tell me, and if you tell me the truth, we can help children. So I can't, I mean, I look at Archie, I think about this child, and I go, I genuinely can't imagine doing anything to intentionally cause pain to my child. I can't imagine it. So it's hard for me to reconcile that.
So your father being hunted down, it seemed like you were saying in some ways that they did this to him. So I want you to be able to clarify this, that the tabloids, the media did this to him, they hunted him, but he has a responsibility in it too.
Everyone has accountability. Look, they've hunted my mom down.
Right. And she didn't speak to the tabloids.
You've never heard her say a word. She's remained in silent dignity for 4 years, watching me go through this.
And Samantha Markle, your half-sister on your father's side, has written a supposedly tell-all book about you. What is your relationship with her?
I think it'd be very hard to tell all when you don't know me. And I mean, this is a very different situation than my dad, right? When you talk about betrayal, betrayal comes from someone that you have a relationship with, right? I don't feel comfortable. And I wished I had siblings. I would have loved to have had siblings. That's why I'm so excited to be pregnant, so that Archie has someone. It was really interesting I mean, the last time I saw her must have been at least 18, 19 years ago. And before that, 10 years before that.
So you all weren't close? You didn't grow up together?
No.
She doesn't
No.
really know you?
No, she changed her last name back to Markle in, I think she was in her early 50s at that time, only when I started dating Harry. So I think that says enough.
The name, is she open at this point to having a relationship with her father? I know he's never met Archie.
Or Harry.
I know,
Or Harry.
or Harry.
Right.
I think I haven't really, I didn't pursue that conversation with them. From what I gathered, her relationship with her father is similar to what's happening with Prince Harry and Prince William now, that there's distance there, and maybe with time things will get better. But for now, no.
One of the most striking things to me, Oprah, in this conversation was actually about Harry's relationship with his father, because both Meghan and Harry were very respectful towards the Queen. Harry kind of stayed away from his relationship with his brother, but acknowledged that there was space. But he was very specific in saying he was hurt and disappointed by his father. Were you surprised by that?
I was surprised that he was open, vulnerable, because we could feel his pain when he was speaking about his father. And the moment where he says that 72 members of Parliament stood up and nobody in his family did, and that hurts. I could feel that he really deeply meant that. When I asked him, as we just heard in this interview, what would it mean to you if someone apologized? You can feel his sadness. And I think that what he said in the interview last night about continuing to work on mending that relationship.
Conversational. I thought you were perfection. I felt like we were sitting in the room and we were just sort of eavesdropping in on a conversation, and that takes great skill. I don't know anybody who could have done this interview and certainly gotten the results that they did. And I'm wondering from them, and I'm wondering if you've had a chance to talk to them how they're feeling today, because there must have been a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of emotion, and it must have been draining for them. Do you know how they're feeling now that it's aired and it's out there? And I'm also wondering how you're feeling, because the night before the interview, you didn't sleep, and I know that you prepared for this. I know there were nothing off limits. I'm curious about how everybody's feeling this morning.
Well, I haven't really spoken to them since the interview because we're in different
time changes are different,
time zones.
yeah.
I got a text from Meghan yesterday saying, "How's it going?"
Yeah, what are people saying? Yes, yeah.
How's it going? Because she was putting Archie to bed, waiting on the West Coast feed, and had no idea what was happening on the East Coast. And I said, I don't either. From what I can tell, it's going well. I know it's airing. So I will probably have a conversation with them later on today. I'm just pleased that we were able to maintain the integrity of the interview from a 3-hour and 20-minute cut down. And I recall early on when I first approached her in 2018, and she had just joined the royal family, and she shared a conversation with me then that really made me feel somewhat disheartened, because she said she had been given advice.
Harry, I think at the backdrop of everything, is constantly remembering the things that his mother went through. He lived through that, he witnessed it, but at his age and in his position, he was unable to protect her from it. So you can totally understand why he would want to then put the shield up for Meghan and his family to make sure that they don't suffer that same tragic fate.
Princess Diana died in 1997 in a car accident in Paris while being chased by the paparazzi following her own exit from the royal family. Now, Prince Harry says all the negative media attention made him fear for his own family's safety following his 2018 wedding and the 2019 birth of his son, Archie.
When you can see something happening in the same kind of way, anybody would ask for help, ask the system of which you are part of, especially when you know there's a relationship there that they could help and share some truth or call the dogs off, whatever you want to call it. So to receive no help at all and to be told continuously, this is how it is. This is just how it is. We've all been through it.
Harry understands this very complex world where his family members are also employees or representatives of the institution of the monarchy. And so there are times where the Queen is wearing the crown and she is not his grandmother, and she has to act simply for the purposes of the crown. She's a woman that has always said that she puts duty first, and that duty comes before family. It's why Harry's often found himself at odds with certain family members, including his brother, who do put duty first, because Harry picked family first.
Diana separated from Prince Charles in 1992 and officially filed for divorce in 1996, losing her HRH title in the process. Like Harry and Meghan, she famously went public with her side of the story in a televised interview with Martin Bashir in 1995.
At the age of 19, you always think you're prepared for everything, and you think you have the knowledge of what's coming ahead. But although I was daunted at the prospect at the time, I felt I had the support of my husband-to-be. I desperately wanted to work. I desperately loved my husband, and I wanted to share everything together. And I thought that we were a very good team.
People were also quick to point out the similarities between Diana's interview and Meghan's interview. Both ladies wore dark ensembles with dark eye makeup, and both discussed their highly publicized struggles with the royal family and intimate details of their experiences.
The media were everywhere, and here was a fairy story that everybody wanted to work. And so it was isolating, but it was also a situation where you couldn't indulge in feeling sorry for yourself. You had to either sink or swim, and you had to learn that very fast.
And what did you do?
I swam.
We always heard Diana talking about the men in grey suits, but we didn't really get to hear what it is that they were capable of. And so to see Harry and Meghan really suffer at the hands of some of that, with the stories that were leaked to the press, with the games that went on behind the scenes, I would like to think that people had a better idea of what it was that they're up against, but listen, Sunday is going to fill in all the gaps. They're going to be able to tell that story for themselves for the first time.
During the sit-down, Meghan also paid tribute to her late mother-in-law by wearing her diamond tennis bracelet.
What do you think your mom would say about this stepping back, this decision to step back from the royal family? How would she feel about this moment?
I think she would feel very angry with how this has panned out and very sad. But ultimately, all she'd ever want is for us to be happy.
Harry noted that though the process has been tough, he's relieved to have gone through his exit from the royal family with his wife by his side.
I'm just really relieved and happy to be sitting here talking to you with my wife by my side, because I can't begin to imagine what it must have been like for her going through this process by herself all those years ago, because it has been unbelievably tough for the two of us.